welcome back. We're going to be covering creditors' rights in bankruptcy. Very important you understand how the process works. Um, First, understand there are certain laws that are assisting creditors, people that lend you money. Now, somebody loans you money, they're going to want some collateral as a guarantee. So again, back to the Uniform Commercial Code, which we've talked about before, massive body of law. Every state has adopted it. One section is called Secure Transactions. This is Article 9. Applies to personal property, and that can be tangible goods that we've talked about in sales law, but also intangibles like accounts receivables, contractual rights, things like that. Uh, uh, that can also be used as collateral for the money, for the loan. So the life cycle of secured transactions summarized in this term called CRAPS, which is coined by Professor Ali Khan at Washburn Law School. And he breaks it down into creation and attachment. That's the loan. Normally, that's going to be a negotiable instrument. And we studied that. I promise to pay. Perfection is very important. This is where you notify the world that the creditor has a claim to the property, and that's been proffered or offered up by the borrower. And so there's for under Article 9 for personal property, several ways perfection can occur. Most common is by filing what's called a UCC-1 financing statement with the state. In the state of Washington, Department of Licensing, for the most part. The other way to perfect is by possession, like a pawnbroker will lend a person money, but will take possession of the collateral. And if you don't pay the pawnbroker back within the time agreed upon, they will sell the asset. There's also automatic perfection that can occur, and you'll see this, it's a purchase money security interest. I discuss it here. When somebody gives you money to purchase some, perhaps inventory or whatever, normally like with a car, that's got to be perfected within a short period of time, 20 days. Okay, so priority generally first to file. This is temporal rule, gets priority. Exceptions, automatic perfection. You got to do that within 20 days in purchase money security interests, uh, in consumer goods, especially. All right. Now, real estate, real property is not governed by the UCC, but it does have a similar procedure for creating a security interest. So you go to the bank, you want money, there's going to be a loan, a mortgage loan. The borrower is the maker, as you know, and the lender is the payee. That's standard operating procedure for a negotiable instrument. It's perfected by filing the deed of trust, which is the ownership document of title, with in the county where the real property is located, and that will indicate that the lender is the beneficiary. So if you don't pay on the loan, the lender or its assigns, again, assignment being the common law term, can accelerate your obligation under the loan and foreclose and evict. All right. So real property, again, this is a consensual lien. It's not adversarial. You wanted the money to buy the house or the property. Yeah. All right. So I mentioned that. Now there are liens that are not consensual, where you didn't pay somebody, and and they go through a statutory process to impose a cloud or a lien on your property. So various names for these: mechanics liens. This is actually people that do work on your property. Construction lien. These are obviously for people that do work on your property. Tax lien, judgment lien, you know, homeowners association or condo lien. A landlord can put a lien on your property if you don't pay, and likewise an attorney lien is possible. Now, one thing about from a creditor's perspective, you go to court, you get a judgment, that doesn't mean you're going to get paid. There's a cliche there that a judgment is worth about as much money as the paper it's written on. They, after you get a judgment, you got to garnish or figure out how to attach and execute on some assets. And this is a real pain in the ass because this is you got to go to court, get a writ of garnishment, and a garnishment is a pain because for example, if your wages are garnished, your employer is now involved in your drama, which is not good for you. Best to cut a deal, and that's why I mentioned here creditor composition agreements, credit counseling. If you can work a deal, that's probably preferable, with the caveat that if the debt is stale, if it's beyond the statute of limitations, then it wouldn't be enforceable. Problem with some of these credit counseling agencies is they want to bundle your debt and have you basically agree to pay the creditor, even though the debt may be stale or old or whatever, and they take a chunk of change too. So be wary of that. So laws assisting debtors. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to emphasize this. If you have a creditor hounding you, always ask for verification. Federal law requires them to do that within a short period of time. It's like 5 days. And they're not supposed to proceed with any collection action until they verify. My practice has been always to insist on verification because sometimes the person seeking or for you to pay doesn't have capacity. It goes back to basic common law contracts. They're not the real party in interest. They don't own the debt. Anyway, bankruptcy is the ultimate protection for creditors. I mean, sorry, for debtors. And this is it's in the Constitution. It's one of those enumerated powers Congress has over bankruptcy. And you have to go to federal court, bankruptcy court, if you're going to go through bankruptcy. However, states do play a role with providing a list of exemptions, which is extremely important to understand because you get to keep some stuff even if you go through bankruptcy. So, as I said, when you petition for bankruptcy, there's an automatic stay. Some debts are dischargeable. For example, a home loan, car loan can, in theory, be dischargeable, but you're going to lose the asset. That's why we discuss secured transactions. If a creditor has gone to the trouble of securing their, security interest in the collateral, they will get the collateral. And with a bankruptcy may delay it, but they're going to get it. And you can reaffirm your debt to the creditor if they want you to, and if you can afford it, and keep the asset, stay in the house. Home loan can be discharged as well, unless you reaffirm the debt. For personal property, I go back to the CRAPS, equation up here. So we have creation attachment, that's the loan. Perfection, super important with personal property, several ways to do it. Filing the statement or where you identify the debtor, creditor, and the asset. It can be fairly broad, could be accounts receivables, inventory. Priority is, I talked about that first, and the S is sale or settlement. So for personal property, if you default on the loan, the creditor that has priority over that personal property can repossess it. So repo is part of the equation here. And if they do, they can sell it. Or if you, again, if you want to keep the asset like your car, you can try to negotiate some settlement with the creditor. So automatic stay is huge. Dischargeable debts, loans, you know, some things are non-dischargeable, like your school loan, taxes, etc. And I mentioned secured creditors will get the collateral they secured that secured the loan. May be delayed, but that's where it goes. All right, two basic types of bankruptcy. One's called liquidation, Chapter 7, individuals, businesses. For an individual, there's a means test. You have to fall below a certain income. You have to go through credit counseling with a agency approved by the federal bankruptcy court. Normally takes about 3 months total for Chapter 7. These are called no asset cases because to qualify, you don't have a hell of a lot of assets, and what you have may be exempt. Maybe you get to keep those. So that's important. And then reorganization, Chapter 11, businesses and individuals can do that. 12 is farmers, fishermen. 13 is wage earner plan, where you make too much money, means test to do a 7, so you do a 13. I mentioned various exemptions. Excellent video links here. Credit CC advising, super useful for a variety of the subjects. So with that said, that's the end of the world of bankruptcy.